this?
I've lost credibility.
You broke our trust.
No.
All you can borrow some
I didn't think to bring it.
Oh, okay. Is that what you wear when you go sailing?
Yeah. I go sailing in the lake in my Speedo.
Get a nice tan going.
Can I take a picture of your drums?
Please, yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm Hollie Hope, and this is Talia, and my lovely assistant Mandy. So they're here to help because there's so many, and sometimes when we tie the drums, it can get really confusing. So they're also learning too how to do this as well. So if they're like taking pictures or videos, it's just like they can learn it. So they're not going to share them anyway. Okay, we'll give it like. I'm afraid to get started because then I have to repeat myself. So.
Yeah, we're missing.
We're missing like 5.
Everybody's pretty excited about this. So.
Yeah.
Has anybody drummed before?
We got one drummer in the group that's not here. So.
Eve wasn't feeling good.
Oh, yeah.
Any music?
So
I used to play the trumpet, the piano.
I played the piano for a year.
two that aren't coming for
That was
sure.
a long time ago. I don't even remember how
So
to
those
read
two
music
that are
anymore.
coming, we have 2 more lovely assistants. This is Jen and Paula. So they will make their drums. So between you guys, 2 of you make a drum for the people who aren't here, so they can participate in stuff later. Because you're going to use it later, once it's dry. So maybe 2 of you can make a drum, and 2 of you can make drumsticks. They're like so excited.
Yeah, she made me hold one leg with the strap across where I couldn't grabbed my other leg and was like, see, I can do it.
See, I'm kind of almost like splits.
Yeah, they're this size. They're small enough that they'll fit into your backpack. Yes, we do that on purpose because if you got one of these ones,
No, I don't.
I mean, you can, I make them and you can buy one, and I can ship it. So it's what people have done in the past. They just haven't said it. But at least with the little one, you have something to anchor. So. And if some of you guys had masks, they're over here. Like the painted. Grab a seat, we're right here.
Do you like those? You have flat feet? Oh, so they're great. Yeah, I have 0, no. 0.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which is like
Okay, so there's just one more.
He looked a little better.
Because there's 2 for sure not coming, and there's 16 total,
I think
right?
that's correct.
Okay, we're gonna do-
And one's still eating.
We'll give him
You can
1 more minute, and then we'll start.
Go off and sing.
And then he just gets to catch up, and he's the drummer?
Oh,
Oh, you're the drummer! Hello, drummer!
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. We're going to be drumming today?
We are, and you're gonna make a drum.
Cool.
So, what kind of drums?
So, I mean, I started on the snare. Yeah, I put this up.
This is not that kind of drum, but it'd be really fun to do. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started. Okay.
Because I didn't even see those ones against the fireplace.
These are my groupies.
We just follow where
Sarah, were you planning on matching with the assistants?
Yes.
Yes.
Matching.
Matching ready. Absolutely. Yeah, I thought that was you when you pushing six.
Oh, it's true because you guys have like the same hair. And, you know.
Oh my gosh.
It's so perfect. Okay. Well, my name is, I'm going to take off my shoes actually because, you know, we're in the desert and I'm kind of going to be in the desert about the time. And I make rawhide drums, so, you know, not surprised. My name is Hollie Hope, and I am what's called an intuitive healer, and I do sacred sound therapy. So basically, I help to clear emotional crap using sound, using intuitive gifts. I hear things, see things, feel things, Some of you, it's kind of really woo-woo, and that's okay. I promise I won't be offended if you're like, this isn't my jam. Because it is different, but you guys you're with the bridge, so you guys have been exposed to a lot of woo-woo stuff, right? So it's probably not that weird yet. So tonight,
10-page.
we are going to make some drums, but before we do that, we are going to clear some of our emotional crap and do some drum circles so you understand how to use them. And you have a clear vessel so that when you make your drum, you can have clear intentions when you do it. So we'll start out by doing a little bit of a meditation. It's a really short one. I'm not a meditator, I'm a boom, boom, boom meditator. So we'll do a short meditation, and you'll be able to assess any negative perspectives you have. And then we'll do some different types of drum circles, and that way you can learn how to use it at home with other people, or you can just use it on yourself. So the reason we do drums is because drums date back to all of our ancestry. So your ancestors drummed, your ancestors drummed, your ancestors drummed. Every primal civilization on every continent had drums. And they used drums not just for celebrations and for dancing and for joy, but they also used them to heal. So there's little cells in your body, and this is like Hollie science, because remember, we make drums, so we don't need to make it too complicated. Every cell in your body has what's called gates. And these little gates open and they close, and they open and they close, and they open and they close. When they open, they're able to release toxins, they're able to release negative energy, negative emotions, and then they're able to receive nutrients and light and all of the positive things that your cells need. So hello, come on in. So when we go through stress, or we have struggles with our health, or massive trauma, those gates stop opening and closing, and they just sit. And so when we drum, it helps to start the movement and get those gates to open and close again, so you can actually have a release. When you were in the village anciently, and you were sick, or you had a physical ailment, or you were struggling in some way, you would go to the village, and the women of the village would come and they would drum you. Now, it's not because the men don't have the gift, it's because the men were usually out protecting and providing. So it was the women's job to do the healing. And so they would come with their drum, and they would drum, and they would drum, and they would drum, and they would drum for even days. We're not going to keep you here for days. We're only going to be here a couple hours. But they would drum for days until either their ailment left them and they started feeling better, or until they died. Because, back then, death was still free from your ailment, and it wasn't seen the way it is now. And so hopefully nobody's going to die. This is supposed to be a fun night. And you'll get to take your drum home at the end of the night. You will have to let it dry for a few days. So don't play it. And don't put it outside. So put it in your room, on a shelf, on your dresser. Up in the top of the closet is usually the favorite. Just so it can dry, and then you'll use it later when you do a drum circle. So I asked this question before everybody was here. Has anybody been to a drum circle before? And so everybody else, this is probably brand new, so I love it. Now drum circles and drum ceremonies are a little bit different. We're going to do it ceremony style, where you have an actual specific focus and intention when you drum. And most drum circles are the expression of joy and connection. And so that's kind of the difference. When people are like, wow, drum circles. Sometimes people think of people who are on a lot of drugs by the beach, frolicking all night.
We were talking about Matthew McConaughey. He got
Yeah, we're not doing that type of drum circle. We're doing a healing circle. So usually I call it drum ceremony, and that just kind of sets it apart. It's the difference between like ballroom dancing and going to a club and dancing all night. And so that's kind of the different vibes. With each drum, there is a different medicine and intention, especially even the animal. All of the animals are ethically sourced, and that means that they lived a full and happy life in the wild, and then the whole animal was utilized, and nothing was wasted or thrown away. It also means that some of the hides, they were like beef cows, and the hides would have been thrown away, and so they were reclaimed instead of being thrown away. So that's nice to know. I do have vegan ones as well. If anybody is sensitive to animal products, let me know when it's time to drum, because you're each going to get to drum. So let me know, and you can get one of those ones. So I think, well, actually I only brought one vegan one, and that's the lion. So if anybody's sensitive to that, you can use the lion. And when we drum, we are connecting with the first root of our existence. So there's a reason why people don't know why the drums align with them and it speaks to them until afterwards, and they're like, I don't know, it just feels really good, right? When you're jamming out, it just feels good. I don't know, it just feels good. My brother has one of the, what's it called? It's like the drum game, you know, that Guitar Hero. He has like the drum set for that. So he puts on his headphones, he's like, it just feels so good. And I'm like, yep. Because what's happening is that beat resonates with when you were in utero. So before you knew light or dark, before you were conscious of your own existence, before you knew hot or cold or anything else, you knew. So when you drum, it's pulling in back when your cells were first creating and aligning. So think about it, when those cells were being created and you were becoming a human, developing a human, in your nice warm bubble of fluid, the only thing your body was doing was reproducing positive cells in their highest, most aligned form. And so when you drum, it anchors back to when your cells were aligning in the highest form. So there's a lot of scientific studies. I recommend you go Google it, or I will, those of you who wrote your email down, I will email you some of that science information. But it helps with white brain matter, cognitive function. People with Alzheimer's and dementia, they're finding that by using drumming, they can actually help to restore the brain and help it to remember, which is really fascinating. And we've only been tapped in a little bit. Studies have even shown that certain frequencies of sound can blast leukemia cells because it's out of alignment and it's trying to align the cells. So, which is really cool because my niece has leukemia right now, so I'm like, okay, how do we do this? And we're working on getting her some sound treatment, which is going to be really exciting. So, let me think if there's any other rules that I want to share. With the drums, I do make all of these drums, so just be gentle with them. Banging them harder does not make them heal more, just so you know. So even if you drum softly, it's still allowing it to heal. And so just be careful with them. Some of them are more delicate than others, but I trust you, that's why they're here. And if they break, I'll fix them. When you are drumming, sometimes when we start, we forget that we're drumming, and we skip a beat, and we're like, oh no, everybody's gonna hear me drum wrong on the beat. And we have an actual percussionist who is really good, and he's gonna be judging me right now. Yeah, don't do that. Let it go, because what I tell people is I'm not a percussionist, I'm a healer. So if my drumming changes, it's because the energy changed and I had to drum it out. So if you're drumming the energy, then you're free to drum any beat you would like. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So go ahead and come up and just pick a drum that speaks to you, not this one, but any others you're welcome to grab, and a drum stick if you would like to use one, but you can use your hand as well. The tree. She's claiming the red tree.
You want this?
Oh, you can have it. Are you sure? No. We'll take turns.
Yes. Go back and forth.
And each of the drums has a different intention, so it's really fun, for me anyways, to see which ones people select, because usually it's something that you're either aligned with or healing.
I'm not sure what.
It matches my tattoo.
That is the longhorn cow. It's the drum of comfort. Anybody else curious what the drum means?
Vegan drum.
Yeah. Okay. Here's this love. Yeah.
Maybe it's a message that you're supposed to go vegan.
Yours is that solar plexus in the stomach, the nurturing. It's this whole core, which is your ability to receive and your stomach.
I'm feeling nauseous today.
Drum it extra.
It just says.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So yours is the courage to fly. That's the drum that actually saved my life. Do you guys want a good story? Yes.
Yes.
I love stories. Our ancient grandmothers, they told stories. It's how they taught. So that drum, so I'll give you just a really mini background on my world. So I grew up in a very abusive home, went right into abusive relationships, domestic violence, all those things, escaped those relationships and found a marriage that was very cold. And after 13 years of marriage, one day he came home and he said, I found the perfect woman and she's not you, bye, and he left. And I had my whole self-identity wrapped up in that. Like, I was runner-up for Mrs. Utah. Like, I had my together. I swear a little bit. So if that offends you, just in your brain, pick a different word and pretend I said that word. Okay.
I don't think it offends.
Okay, good. I'm like, sometimes it comes out, and I have a shirt that says, my spirit guides say, fuck a lot. Because I'm like, actually, it should say your spirit guides say it, because I usually only say it if somebody's guides swear. So, and back to my story. So my husband leaves, and I lost my whole self-identity. Like, everything was wrapped up in being the perfect wife and the perfect mom and being perfect for everybody else. And I had been a healer, and I'd been doing this for 16 years. And so I'd already been doing this, and I had all these tools, but none of them seemed to work. And I could not find a way to recover. And so I laid in my closet, and I was in my closet because you had to go through my bedroom, through the bathroom to get to the closet, and it was surrounded by clothes. So my children couldn't hear me crying in the closet, and I just lived in there. For 3 months, I had people pick up my kids, and I mean, we've all been there where we feel like we're at the very, very bottom. And I laid there and I just begged God to kill me. I was like, just let me die. Like, I can starve to death in the closet, that's fine. And that's what I was trying to do, just will myself into dying. Well, a dear friend of mine, I had asked her to paint me a drum. And she's like, what animals do you love? And I'm like, well, all of these, and I give her a huge list, but do whatever you feel inspired to. And so she painted a lion and 4 birds. And at the time, it's interesting because I was pregnant and I miscarried in that time because I was so devastated, my body could not even sustain a child. So it's funny, she did 3 and then added a little tiny one. I'm like, oh, that's the baby that I miscarried. But in that time, I could not recover. And then months later, so I asked for the drum like the year before. Finally, she gets done with it while I'm in a closet in a hovel of snot and tears. And she brought me the drum. And I was like, okay, I guess God's not going to kill me because it's been 3 months and nothing's changing. So then I grabbed the drum, and brought it back, and I'll get it back. So I began to, each morning, I decided, fine, I have to go on. I have to have the courage to fly. So that's what this one represents. So I would take the drum, and I would, while I was crying, while I was like, okay, I don't want to get out of bed today. And I'd literally have the drum right next to my bed. And I would pick it up, and I would just, and I would scream, and I would cry, and I'd walk around my house until I felt enough of the vibration that it felt like I could catch my breath. Just one breath. And every morning I would drum just for one breath. And it's funny because, like, somebody pointed out one day, they were playing, they're like, it's really dirty just on the top. I'm like, oh, that's probably my snot and tears, so you're welcome. You get my DNA all over that. But it works because it helped me to snap out of it. Because there was no vocabulary. There wasn't a counselor that could talk me through it. Because some pains are just so deep that you don't have words, right? And so that drum is the drum that literally saved my life. And so, and that point was when I realized how powerful it was because it's what snaps me out of it. And so that's why it's so important that you guys get to go home with a drum so that you can have that too if you have days where you just can't snap out of your funk. Because it is weird when you get home, it's like, this integration is the awkward stage. And so that gets to help. So I recommend always putting your drum somewhere where it's easy to pick up or be in your way. Because if it's in your way, you move it and you play it while you're moving it, right? But if you hang it on the wall and leave it to look pretty, it'll just stay there and you'll barely pick it up. Okay, so there's my story. So now we're gonna drum. And we drum to create a circle.
See what the rest of them are about?
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes. So courage to fly. Yours is shadow work and intuition. So it's linking your top of your head and that third eye with the things that you're not seeing that are deeply buried. So good luck with that. You're going deep. Yours is throat. And that's a symbol for the throat chakra. What'd you say?
I said now I know why it's my favorite.
Yours is just plain magical. So I painted that, and I started painting one thing, and that just intuitively came out. But it's definitely the fae, the fairies, the elementals, and it's also made of.
I have 2 fairy tattoos.
Oh, yeah, you picked the fairy drum. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't even know who that was for, but I was thinking of it one day. And it's also elf, which is what your drumming with me today is going to be out of. So I'll send you that information in an email. Yours is the mama bear drum. So, and that's actually a feminine shamanic drum. So it helps with journeying and travel and finding your way back. that comfort, that anchor. So, and it's got fur. It's the only drum I have next to that one, but that one has fur on the side. And it even looks like a bear paw or the silhouette of a bear. So that's one of my favorites. Yours is throat chakra and flowing, letting things come and letting things go. Yeah. You got some family stuff, don't you?
I do.
That is the blood tree. So burning and purging the family line in your bloodline. She don't mess around. So these,
give that one to you.
these two are sister drums. So that's the masculine shaman drum, and that's the feminine shaman drum.
Okay.
So, yeah. Are you so glad you didn't know what you were picking up until after? Because it would be so impossible to pick.
Right.
Yours is the drum of balance and patience. And yours is the feminine shadow drum. So the womb, the sacral area. I'm going to gesture like this a lot. You're welcome, fellas. I'm like, I would say sorry, but you know. So that anchoring, that feminine womb, also the dark side of it, and understanding that in the darkness, it doesn't mean that nothing exists. It means everything exists, and it's your job to extract it and create it. I'm like, ooh, I got a little chills. I got some spirit bumps. Yours is protective, and it's pulling in spirit animals. So you have all the protected animals. You have the spider, that's the weaver of dreams, the panther, the owl, that's the wisdom, and then 2 snakes, which are the balance of the kundalini going. Ooh.
Just talking about Kundalini today.
I was like, I was just going to ask, do you know about kundalini?
Yeah, I just
Yeah, so, and that's all burned with Palo Santos. Are you familiar with that? It's a stick that's in Peru, that you get from Peru, and it actually wards off evil, and it helps to add positivity. So when people smudge with sage, that creates a 0 point, and then the Palo Santos actually adds to it, so it's more positive. So, yeah.
You were talking about Peru also.
I know.
Those just happen to be my favorite spirit animals. So that's, but she wanted to come, and normally she doesn't come, so. Just for you. Thank you. Which one do you have? Trying to see. Oh, ha 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 ha. Angels. So you have the angel wings, the fly. Time to spread your wings and fly. You also have the hive is actually for stability and healing any type of child abuse. So. Drum comfort. That's a longhorn steer. Okay.
Does it change the sound when it's covered in fur?
Yeah. So that one is used for a lot of medicine ceremonies. I don't host medicine ceremonies, but some people will ask me and I'll come and drum while they are with the shaman. And so that's the drum for that because your senses are so heightened that a regular drum is just too loud or hurt. And so, yeah, so that's to give them comfort and soothing. But sometimes it's really nice just to put your hand and like you can pat it and it's just comfort. It's just a little, but it's definitely not as loud. So. Okay, and then if you guys want to grab a drum, you're welcome to for this one, but you don't have to. Because then we can complete a circle, because right now we have like a moon.
Okay, this is the closest we've gotten to a circle since we got here.
I know, I was like, somebody set this up. It's really awesome. I'm like, I didn't get a stick.
You can tell us about your drum?
So mine is, have any of you heard the story of the white calf buffalo woman? It's a Native American story. Yeah. So this is one of my spirit drums. This drum was made by a Mexican. Oh, he can be there. That's fine. We have a circle. We're good. And you guys can sit if you want in the fireplace or pull a chair. So this was made by a Mexican shaman, and they make drums and then they sell them, and then money goes to the village. So, hello! Hey, you're just in time, and there's a really beautiful dragonfly drum, if you want to drum. Yeah. Would you mind drumming here? That's mine, but we'll just join. Or there's a chair there too.
We got one here too.
There's like secret chairs everywhere.
Yeah.
So and then I drew this on because so she is a messenger of change, and when I was 14, she came to me in a vision. So Spirit said, "Hang on it." That's a really short version. There's a longer story, but okay. So the best way to drum is you're going to hold your drum kind of away from you. Some of them are a little bit heavier, and you can lean it on your knee if you want. want. If you hold it on your lap, you can hear how it like stops it versus, and then, okay. Here's the rules of drum circle, because we have to have rules. So if you want to just go off and do your own solo, you are absolutely welcome to do that. Just come back to the group. Because there's always one person every once in a while that goes, I'm feeling it. And we're all like, are you going to come back? Do we follow you? Do we follow them? I don't know. And it causes chaos. This is the moment where we create a little sound bubble. So we're allowing all of us to connect our hearts and to connect to our minds and connect with that beat. The cool thing is we can connect with the drum and we don't have to worry about absorbing other people's crap because drums are exits. They align to the highest form. So it's a very safe place to actually let yourself connect with one another. Although you guys feel like you've connected a lot. So, and I know you guys have been doing some serious work here. So, as you drum, you do not have to drum the same beat as me, but you know when to stop when you hear the bells. And when you hear the bells, I ask that you just stop drumming and you not talk. And the reason for that is because I'm going to play the singing bowls. Because the drums will shake out all the heavy stuff, and then the singing bowls raise us up and align us. Does that make sense? Okay. Ready? Okay. You guys are very in sync, so I love it. Like, as soon as one person would speed up, everybody would speed up, and then everybody would slow down. Do you see that? You guys know how to dance with the drums. I love that. So now we're going to get into the emotional crap part. So you can set your drums down if you would like. And you guys can go wherever you want. If you want to stay stuck. If you want to. So when we drum in a drum circle to release, we want to hold an intention of what we're letting go of. So some of you may already be like, you know what, I know exactly what I'm letting go of, I know exactly where I'm moving forward, and that's great. You just get to have a moment to tune in and feel that. And then some of you have what I like to call negative perspectives. So negative perspectives are when your mind keeps you stuck in a cycle, or you're unconscious. When we heal something and clear something, we have to do it with our mind. If you think of like, oh, there's a board here, oh, but it has stuff on it.
You can raise it, there's Kleenex behind you.
Ah, okay. You guys are so helpful. I'm like, I could draw in the air with my hands, but it feels like I'm making your brains work too hard. So I'll just erase that. And then this will work really good. So I'm gonna right here. Anybody with OCD, you're welcome. You get to move through that. Okay, so when we're healing, it's kind of like we have a triangle here, like this. Okay, can everybody see that? You can tell I'm like, I'm not used to a marker board. So this is your mind. So your mind has to understand the patterns. It has to understand why you're doing what you do. It has to understand the perspective. So for example, one of the things that we're going to be tuning in are emotional allergies. So an emotional allergy is when you're actually allergic to a positive emotion that you want to feel, but you don't let yourself feel. Either because when you felt it, instantly it became unsafe to feel. So for example, it's a lot like if you had shrimp and you love eating shrimp and you eat shrimp all the time, and then one day you have shrimp and it has a bacteria on it. The bacteria...
That's what we have for dinner, so be careful.
Woo! Shut up! Okay, you're safe. Okay, we'll pick something else. Say you love pork chops. Nobody had pork chops today? You had pork chops. And you love pork chops. And one day you have pork chop and it has a bacteria on it. So therefore, every time you eat a pork chop, your body's going to think that it's poisoned, and it's going to act like it's been poisoned. So that's how a lot of food allergies exist, because there's something on the food that the body didn't like, usually like a pesticide, and then the body goes, this is poison, get rid of it. And so you can't even be near it or around it. Same thing with your emotions. So the mind says, I want to feel a positive emotion, like let's say wanted. I love feeling wanted. Yep, I totally want to feel wanted. But then over here, we have the unconscious. I'm just going to write uncon. So we have the, let me do that, emotions. So the emotional side says, if I feel wanted, people are going to want more than I can handle. That one time I was wanted, it turned out really awful, and they wanted something I didn't want to give. And so, you know what? It's safer for me if I never allow myself to feel wanted. So it's over here, don't feel wanted, don't feel wanted, don't feel wanted. But the mind's like, yes, I want to feel wanted. And then over here we have the physical body. The cells of your body will hold on to your experiences. Have any of you heard of the epi gene?
Yeah.
Okay, so about 15 years ago is when they first started really coming out and teaching about it. So it holds all the experiences. That's how evolution happens, right? There's not enough food. Oh, let's make ourselves smaller. You know, think of like dragonflies. They've been around for so long. They used to be huge, and then there wasn't enough food, so they became smaller. So it's a lot of insects and lizards and things like that. So this holds your DNA, your programming. So when we clear something, we could talk ourselves through it. Say, nope, I am wanted, and I can see that I'm wanted. I'm going to let myself be wanted. But you've got this guy fighting, and you've got this guy fighting, so it will never get out. So that's where the drums come in. The drums release it from the cells. And the mind knows the pattern. And then the drums also hit that emotional spot, especially when the body and the mind are on the same page. So you have to have all three agreeing. Does that make sense? Anything you release, you have to have all three. So the cool thing is with the drums, that's what we're doing. But sometimes we have to know what we're releasing for us to get deep enough to release it. Now you can drum all day long and you'll still feel good. It'll still align your cells. It'll still feel better. But what we want is the biggest, the deepest, the most, right? That's why they call me the emotional crack clear, because we go really, really deep. So we're going to actually tune in and see if we have emotional allergies. When I was meditating on this exact night, that's kind of what came up, was that there's at least one person with an allergy. And if it's for one person, it's for all of us are happy to support that one person, right? Yes. And so the tricky thing is finding the justification too. Like why it's not safe to feel it. So we're going to do a meditation where you're going to go in and you're going to tune into your body. We'll start at the head and we're just kind of tuning in and connecting with our body. And then we stop at the stomach. How many of you are familiar with muscle testing? Anybody? See. So muscle testing is a positive or negative response to truth. So a lot of you are probably familiar with it and you don't even know. Did you ever see the demonstration where they put the arm out and they say, tell a truth. Oh, you're strong. Tell a lie. Oh, you're weak. Did you ever see that? Like a lot of life coaches did that. Like, maybe this is like 20 years ago. Okay, I'm not dating myself. But, so the body will respond. So when we are in the meditation, you're going to focus on your tummy. Because this is where we hold things we don't digest, things we don't process. This is where we hold other people's crap. And so usually your gut feeling is the feeling to follow. So suddenly your stomach hurts, something's off. It's good to ask yourself what. So when we're tuning in, you're going to pay attention to what your stomach does. Does it expand and go forward? You'll ask yourself, body, do I have an emotional allergy? And you'll feel what your stomach does. And it'll either expand forward as if to say, yes, finally, let's get rid of this. Or it'll retract back like, ugh, yuck. And some people think that's a no. That's also a yes, because you don't like admitting that you have the emotional crap, right? You're reacting to it. If you don't feel anything, you feel neutral, it's a no. Or it means that you're not testing right, but it's okay. I can test for you afterwards, but I want you to try first. Okay? That's one of the gifts I have, is that I can call people on their emotional crap, which is really cool. But I like it when we can do it at home ourselves. So we're going to do that, and then there's another negative perspective that came up that somebody else had, and that was a faulty core desire. Kind of like, faulty core desire. I was like, I thought it was the other one, but no, they're like, yeah, okay. So faulty core desire is actually where you feel a negative emotion over and 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 over again, until it feels so normal to feel it that the minute you don't feel it, something's wrong. And that's when we usually sabotage and keep pulling back. The sabotage usually starts by thinking about the past and thinking of all the things in the past. And what happens when we think about things? It dumps the emotion in, right? So you watch TV and there's a dog on the TV and the dog dies, let's say. And you're like, oh no, the dog, not the dog. Wait, okay, you know it's fake. You've only loved that dog for an hour. It's not even your dog. But yet you're heartbroken, right? And part of that is because the mind doesn't know the difference between reality and what's actually happening and what we're imagining is happening. So when you're sitting there without that emotion and you're tuning into the past, you're dumping all that emotion into your body. So then you're feeling it, life feels normal, yay, even though you hate it, yay. And then, as soon as you get used to that, you'll think about the future and imagine new scenarios, and then it dumps the emotion into your body, and then you feel fulfilled for a while. And then you don't. And then you decide to put yourself in the situation where it's a physical situation where you have to feel the emotion, and you're like, I hate this. Why did I do this? I'm never doing that again. Nope, not even gonna. Maybe I'll just think about the past. Maybe I'll think about the future. Now I'll put myself in the situation. No, I'm not doing that anymore. And it becomes, that's why it's faulty, because you hate it, but it becomes at your core something you feel like you need, but you don't need. Does that make sense? I know I talk really fast. And also, with our clearings, I have cards up here. So if there's anything we address here that you feel like you need extra support in, you're welcome to text me and say, Holly, there was this weird thing, I just want to make sure it cleared, or I just needed some clarification. I once went to a retreat and they did fear activation where everybody put their worst fear in a jar. And then they activated it, and when mine was activated, the therapist had left for the night. And I was stuck without anybody to help me work through it. So I don't want you to be that way, that's why I offer that. You can also have an individual session with me as well while you're still here at Bridge or in your recovery too. So, or after care, that's what it's called. So yeah, that's an option because some people I forget to tell and then they're like, oh no, I didn't know I could. So, but you're safe tonight, I promise. You'll be okay. I'd just like to let you know. So we're going to dive into those two negative perspectives. If you get in there and you're like, you know what? I don't have either of those, then just ask your body, well, what is it that I need to release right now? Okay? And then we'll do some drumming to clear them, and then we'll make our own drums. Sound good? Okay, so go ahead and get comfy. This is the meditation part, and I promise it's short. It's not super long. That's why I explain it first, so that this part can be shorter, because not all of us like to sit and close our eyes and meditate. So. I like active meditation where you go. Okay, you're going to close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in and out. We're going to start by connecting with our body, breathing in, and pulling your inner eye up to the top of your head, to your crown. And then bring your inner awareness with your breath, dropping it down over your forehead, over your eyes, your nose, your mouth. Breathing in, bringing that inner focus down your throat, your chest, your stomach. Dropping it down your hips, your thighs, your legs, down your ankles, your feet, all the way to your toes. Breathing here, feeling your feet. As you inhale, you're going to bring your breath up your legs, your hips, and we're going to hold it right at that stomach center. Feeling your belly, breathe in and expand, and out. In, and out. Now we're going to ask our body to give us a response as we see what's going on inside emotionally that gets to be released now. Body, do I have an emotional allergy? Is there emotion that I am resisting allowing myself to feel? Noticing if you have an expansion forward as if it's reaching out to say, ah, yes, finally. Or a retraction and, ugh, yeah, I don't want to admit it, but yep, that cracks there. Or if you're just neutral and enjoy being with your body. Do I have an emotional allergy, a resistance to feeling a positive emotion? The answer is no, just enjoy breathing with your body. The answer is yes. Ask your body, what is the emotion that I'm resisting? And it can be more than one. Is it feeling wanted? If I allow myself to feel wanted, people will want too much from me. I'll be overwhelmed. They'll try to take it. People who want me really fast will unwant me just as fast. Is it feeling accepted? I like being different and the oddball out. I like being special. People accept me, it means I've succumbed to being boring and normal. Is it an allergy to feeling loved? I can only be loved if I earn it and deserve it, and I can never seem to deserve it. Is it an allergy to feeling safe? As soon as I let myself feel safe, bad things happen. I want to see it coming, so if I allow myself to not feel safe, I feel more prepared. Is it an allergy to forgiveness? If I allow myself to forgive other people, then I'll just do it again. If I allow myself to forgive myself, then I'll just mess up again. I can forgive others, but I can't forgive myself because I know better. Is it an allergy to feeling faith? Believing that things will work out and be optimistic? If I allow myself to do that, then I may be blinded to something else. Is it an allergy to feeling trust? If I allow myself to trust, that's when people betray me. Taking in a nice deep breath in and out. And it can be another emotion that I didn't mention. We're going to ask our body another question. Do I have a faulty core desire? Is there a negative emotion that I feel like I have to feel in order to feel normal? And I always seem to be trapped in it. Noticing if your body expands forward as if to say, ah, yes. If it retracts as if to say, ugh, yuck. Also meaning yes. Or if it's neutral. If you don't feel you have one, enjoy breathing with your body and ask your body if there's something else you should be releasing at this time. If you felt like it was a yes, and ask your body what the negative emotion is that you're desiring. Is it a desire to feel abandoned? As long as I feel abandoned, I will be independent. I don't need anybody. Is it a desire to feel anxiety? You get more done faster when you're stressed out. And if you're not stressed out, you don't know what to do with the empty space. Is it a desire to feel discouraged? Because then it's easy to let go. Is it a desire to feel fear? Then you feel prepared because you would have thought of everything. Is it a desire to feel rejection? Don't know how, but I always end up feeling rejected. And by doing so, it makes me feel more independent and strong. Breathing in, asking your body what else gets to go at this time. Holding it right in front of you in your mind's eye. And thanking your body for the time that it took to share this information with you. When you feel like you're good and you have your information, go ahead and open your eyes. We're not meditating out of this because we want to stay active so that we can throw it out. Is there anybody who felt like they didn't get a clear answer from their body? Okay. We'll start over here and I'll just kind of go, woo. Okay. So did you get a yes on anything?
I was just having a really hard time. I'm feeling a little under the weather tonight. But
Yeah.
It was just hard for me to meditate.
Okay. Are you okay if I tune in for you?
Sure.
Okay. And if you guys are wondering, these are my cheat sheets. So this shows how long I've been doing it. You know, there used to be words here. I just have emotions listed because it helps with the group for me to be more concise. So it is an allergy, and it is an allergy to feeling wanted. So it's like even when somebody says, "Hey, I want you," you're like, "Why? What do you want from me?" Versus you. So we're going to release that because you love feeling wanted. When people genuinely, authentically just want to be around you, you love it, right? So we're going to release that. See if I felt too core desire. Yeah. Anxiety. So you use that anxiety as like rocket fuel. So you get a lot done in a little bit of time. And you're like, look at how amazing it was, but now I'm depleted and I have to crash for a few days.
Yes.
So we're going to release this desire to feel anxiety as a way to build momentum. Because you don't need it anymore. It's not what you want, right?
No.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. Does that feel good?
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Are you good?
Yeah.
You're good? Doug, you good? Okay. And you don't lose crap too, because you have to be around everybody in their crap, so. You're good. Okay. You okay if I tune in? Okay. Yes, to an allergy. You're using insecurity. Oh, it's an allergy to feeling confident. So as soon as you feel, that's like the closest word. You don't like that word. It's like, I don't like that word. I'm like, I know, but that's the closest one I have. To feeling like confident and capable. And that's because as soon as you feel like you master something, it's like somebody's going to come along and just cut me down. So I'm just going to keep myself down here and I'll wait for somebody to validate it and say they love it before I'll actually say, yeah, that's a good thing. And even then, you still mimic it. There's always something wrong with it. There's always a crack. So we're going to release that allergy to loving yourself as is. How's that? Yeah, you're a perfectionist. Yeah. Oh yeah. I understand. Recovering perfectionist. Hi, my name's Holly, and I used to be a perfectionist. I've been sober for 16 days. That's what it feels like sometimes. We need love. So we're releasing the allergy to not loving yourself as is. And then, sorry, no. That's your big piece. So, does that feel good? Okay. You're iffy?
I'm so tired that
Okay.
it was really hard
It's-
for me to get there.
And there's a lot of energy, and you guys move through a lot of stuff, so that's totally understandable. And when you go home and practice it, or even in your room when you are feeling better, you'll probably notice it's a lot easier. And you can message me too and just say, hey, I just try to, can you just make sure that I tested right?
So, yes, you can tune in.
Okay. For you, you have the faulty core desire to feel abandonment. So, you love when people, you hate it, but if somebody's gonna handle it, it's gonna be you. If you want something done, do it yourself, right? And so it's you could let other people assist you or support you, but it's just easier to do it yourself. The part of you is because I can do it myself, and it's a badge of honor. That's what it looks like. It looks like you have these little Girl Scout patches. That's what they're showing me. I did this myself, and 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 I did this
I'm a
myself.
box checker.
Hmm?
I'm a box checker.
Yeah, okay. It's ding, 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 ding. I'll do all this myself. And so, but the hard part is deep down, what you really, really want is to feel support. To feel like you can be in your feminine or in your masculine, but you don't have to be in your masculine all the time. You don't have to do all the action and all the things and always have to take charge. Does that make sense? And that's the cycle. So as soon as you're not in charge, it feels really uncomfortable, and in all ways that everybody's gonna screw up. And if I just do it, it'll be way better. Does that make sense? And then it can trickle into other areas too, like relationships and people not emotionally supporting you, even though they're physically there, things like that. And it's that's fine, I don't need you. See, it's just easier for me to walk away. But that's all false independence. It's not really what you want. Does that make sense? Yeah. So we go deep. Okay. And then there's the allergy to feeling trust. So, and not just trusting other people, but also trusting yourself. Oh, yeah, okay. I don't keep promises to myself. It's okay. That's fair. I can promise out that, That's really what they just said. E-H. So, yeah. We're going to release that. Because you love trusting people and having them follow through. Right? And now you're at the point in your life where you know, the minute somebody says something, you know when they're lying. You know when they're not going to follow through. And you just have that gift that you already know. And because you have that gift, it's really frustrating because then you don't trust anybody. But that's not always true. You love feeling like you can trust people, right? Yeah. That's your new affirmation, by the way. I love when I feel like I can trust people. Not I do trust people. I love when I feel like I can trust people. Okay. So anybody that has an allergy, you're going to replace it with that positive emotion. So that same emotion is what you would use. So yours would be, I love when I feel wanted. Not I am wanted, because if you say I am, the brain looks for evidence, and then you're fighting and bullying yourself. The mind's shoving, you must believe this, you must believe this, you must believe this. But if you say I feel, this always agrees. Because it's I do love feeling that. That is a true statement. I don't feel right now, but I love when I feel. I love when I feel like I can allow myself to be me. I do love feeling that. Not right now, I feel stressed out, but normally I do. Does that make sense? Okay.
I don't feel anything.
Okay. Well, you're just perfect. Stop. I see that was so much love. Do you want me to tune in and see? Okay. See what we get. No, you don't have either of those.
No?
No, you don't have an allergy or a desire that's ready to release right now. So,
Yeah, I felt pretty good last 2 days.
yeah. So, is there something else?
Answer.
Is there something else that came up that you feel like you can release tonight? Or just more of what you've been working on?
I've unlocked a lot of things, but I'm not done yet. I told my boyfriend last night, he said, I wish you were home. I said, I don't. I'm not done yet.
I'm still working.
Yeah, I'm not done yet.
Yeah. So So maybe even just allowing it, and it could be that you're on the cusp of being over-processed.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want anymore, I'm gonna shut down. So maybe you just get to release and receive. Oh, receiving. That's your trigger, because you don't receive.
No, I don't.
So you don't have to give anything, you just get to receive. So when we do the drumming, you're just gonna stand there and we will be drumming you, and you're just gonna receive. I love when I let myself receive.
There has to be a camera in here, because that came up in a lecture that I can't receive things. You watched it, and I didn't.
I'm like, no, but I said, spirits talk to me. It's kind of weird, but yeah, that's yours. So I'm like, is there a room? Oh, there is. Right there. It's all right, but I wouldn't have access to that. Really, I have nothing better to do than watch everybody else's. Okay, how do you feel? Do you feel like you know what you're
I need
missing?
help.
Okay. Look at that. You're okay facing it in frame? Okay. So you do have an allergy. It's tied in with heartache. It's the feeling of love. Like you love me because, not just because. Does that make sense? Like you see, like when you feel loved, it's because your mind at the top of the triangle sees that you are loved and lets you say you're loved, but you don't feel it in here. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's the big one. It's just allowing yourself to receive actual love, which is foreign. It feels like it's just, there's just block right here. And it's just like, yeah, no. You don't trust it when it shows up. Because people have said they loved you and then they showed you otherwise. So it's like, all white and, what's the phrase that they're saying? Prove it. It's like, prove it. You love me? Prove it. Prove it. Prove it. And if you can't prove it, well, you don't really love me. Does that make sense? Does that feel good? And it's okay. It's like you're like, Holly, no, you can say no, you won't hurt my feelings, I promise. Okay. So your positive phrase is going to be, I love when I allow myself to feel love. Because love comes in many, many sources. Okay. Yes, good. Okay. How are you feeling? Do you know? Okay. So for you, it's an allergy. Feeling wanted as well. Yeah. There's another one. Forgiveness, self-forgiveness. You're so hard on yourself. Oh, my heart. Yeah. I love feeling forgiving of myself. I love when I let myself be a messy human. Because we all are. Yeah. And you also have the false desire to feel anxiety. So if you don't feel anxious, you're anxious about not feeling anxious. What did I forget? What did I not do because I'm not stressed out? And I should be stressed out, so you're stressed out about not being stressed out. So we release that too. You're welcome.
I feel like I tuned into like 500 of them.
Yeah, probably did.
So,
D, all of the above.
do you like focus?
What is most important? They're like, D, all of the above. Yeah, they're very specific. They're like, D, all of the above. They're like, that was correct. So you're releasing, this is what I've intentionally told, is I'm releasing any resistance to not receiving any positive emotions. Because you love positive emotions. Oh, you're the pessimistic one. Realist. Yeah. and so you don't let yourself feel any. So that's where they're like, girls, all of them. So I love allowing myself to feel optimistic. Because that's kind of the all of the above. That things will actually work out. Because yeah, as soon as I said that, I go, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I felt like your whole aura rolled its eyes, and all the eyes, like, yeah, this girl. So it's okay. We're gonna release it though, because if you believe things will work out, and then they don't, you're still up here, and we have the belief that the higher you are, the harder you fall. Because if this is 0, we're way up here in these high positive emotions, and then we think if we fall, we're gonna fall all the way to the last time you're devastated. It's not true. Because if you're up here and then something doesn't work out, you drop here. You're still in the positive. But if you're here expecting it and your mind's making you feel like crap all the time, then when something negative happens, you drop to devastated and you don't have any reserves. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I love when things work out. How does that feel?
Good.
I love feeling open to maybe feeling okay when I expect things to work out a little bit. Like
Yeah,
if you
that's more
need,
like it.
I was gonna say, computer, do you need a notebook? I'm serious. Okay, yes. And in your drums, you're actually able to write any positive words you want inside. So if you do have an allergy, I would invite you to write that inside. So you can write that. Like, and the key is the positive affirmation shouldn't be a lie. It should be true. So if you have to add more words, so it's true, and it's the tiniest little drop. The tiniest little drop is still more powerful than the negative ones. It's like monsters incorporated when black is like 10 times as powerful as the screen. Same thing. Oh, stop. Who makes up these things? Does that feel good?
Yeah. Was there a more thing?
Yeah. I'm like, yes, hold please.
There were lots.
The insecurity, the nitpicky. Lots of nitpicky. Yeah. So releasing this desire to feel insecure. And oh, your justification for it is that that's how I better myself. That's how I improve. Or you can just be and enjoy life, and then you're automatically going to grow because it's part of who you are. It's part of your character. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's who you be. You're going to grow even if you don't try to grow, expand it, become better. So, but you see people who don't and they give up and they kind of go backwards, and so that's what you're comparing it. But they're not you, right? Okay. How do you feel?
I got a knot in my stomach.
Okay. Still? Right
No,
now?
not still.
You got a knot. We don't know what the emotion is?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it, I already know it's a desire to feel fear. So there's like this, if you're not afraid of something or dreading something, it doesn't feel normal. So it's like that faulty core desire where you think about the past and all the things that went wrong and all the things that you should have, would have, could have done differently. Then you think about the future and how things aren't going to work out and bad things are going to happen, and you try and prepare for it, but really it just sits in like a pit in your stomach. Does that make sense? So we're going to release this desire to feel fear and dread. Because it's not your new normal, right? That's what I would use for your new phrase when you see those things coming true, because it's a habit. Just say, oh, not my new normal, not my new normal. How do you feel?
I feel like I was just so in my head trying to analyze and
This is
pick-
coming up. Why is it coming up?
Yeah, like pick the correct ones.
Is that highest priority or is this highest priority?
Yeah.
Yes. Do you want me to tune in? Yeah. Okay. An allergy to feeling wanted. And also an allergy to feeling forgiveness for yourself. Yeah. Hold on, I have to analyze all this. If I do this wrong, I will never forgive myself. Yeah. So releasing those. So forgiveness, wanted, and there's another one, trust. And also, it was like on the tail end of like intuition. Like, do you feel like you're intuitive?
Yes, I've been told by
But you've lost it like a month. Yeah. And that's part of it. So you try and keep yourself up here. You cut this off. And that's why you have so many things up your throat. Do you have thyroid problems too? No, yes, okay. But yeah, that's your throat.
Yeah.
Clear the shit! There's the fear. Borrow some of his fear. But so when we have negative things stored in our body, if they stay stored in that for so long, they will start to, they don't cause disease necessarily, but if you're going to have a weak spot and get a disease, it's going to be there. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So when your throat and your neck start to activate, that means that you're doing this.
Yeah. This happens to me all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what it is. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your drum, you're going to hold it right here, open your mouth. And you're like, hey, and as you do, let your mind go for a minute. And you'll come up with the answer of what you're blocking.
Yeah.
Because the throat is like the child in between two arguing parents, the heart and the head. And so when they're fighting, the throat doesn't know what to do, so it says, that's a professional term. But that's what yours is doing.
Yeah.
So you'll get neck pain or throat pain. Yeah. Which means you're in your head and you need to sink down your heart. So drumming is going to be powerful for that. And especially when it comes to your intuition, when you're, oh, I don't want to be the weirdo that sees things or hears things. Like, I mean, I'm not weirdo. They're all that weirdo. So, you know, you can text me, hey, I'm that weirdo, help. But if you're not speaking up about it, it's going to eat you up.
Yeah, I'm very afraid that I'm gonna be perceived as like a woo-woo weirdo when
You
I
might.
talk about that stuff, yeah.
But, you know, you're not the only one. So, yeah. And we all hold that fear. I mean, I walked into a room of almost strangers and said, hey, I'm the weirdo. I talk to spirits. Like, yeah. But it is what it is. People are more okay with it now than they used to be. Yes. So, but if you get into like satanic or dark stuff, then I will think you're weird.
I will.
Does that plug in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How do you feel?
A lot of similar stuff that you just said, because I have tons of throat issues, so I was paying attention, but
How's your thyroid?
I still want my own reading. I think we're similar, but there's gotta be a little twist to my, I don't know.
Oh,
My thyroid, I think, is pretty much, as far as I know, it's okay. I just have crazy asthma, throat, everything.
And my body's on fire right now. So, for whatever that is, I'm like, whoo, we're on fire. Feeling optimistic and safe is also on yours. Yeah, you don't let yourself ever feel safe. Think of all the things that could go wrong and sort of thing. And then a faulty core desire to feel anxiety. And that discouragement, kind of like failure, but more discouraged. So it's like, oh, I can see that I'm going to fail, so I quit. I'll just jump ship early. Look, I'm safe, I'm free! Wait, this isn't what I want. Crap. Now I'm really sad, because I missed out. So we're going to release that desire. If there's not something that you're discouraged about, you don't feel normal. No, it's not going to be normal. Because you hate that, right? Okay, does that feel good? Okay. How'd you do?
Good, but I'm not very spiritual, so I'm interested in seeing what.
Okay. This is the test. Okay, I'm reading your energy. Let's see, my son once said, oh, will you just read people's body language? And I was like, yeah, except I don't look at people when I read them. Like, I specifically look away. Because somebody once at Bridge, they were like, how can you do this and not look at me? I'm like, because you distract me. I'm not talking to you. Okay, for you, it's the allergy of feeling wanted, but like underneath more valued. Like, don't you know what I have? Why don't you see me for me? Why don't you see how good this is? That's what's coming up. And a faulty core desire of rejection. So, and you actually love it when people reject you because it's like, see, I told you, I reject you first. And it's almost like an expectation. And part of that too feels like it's trickling over into relationships because if you're rejected, then you, hold on, let me get it back. So if you're rejected, then you feel, okay, so in relationships, it's more like if they don't reject you and they can get over all those hurdles, then that means they're in for life and they're never going away. But then if they do, then that hurts more. Does that make sense? Like you have to earn my attention and appreciation and my gift of me. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, any questions on that? Okay. How are you? Okay. How are you?
I don't really know.
Okay. Do you want me to tune in?
Sure, I guess.
I don't have to. I'm okay not to.
Do it.
Sure.
Do it. No peer pressure. Peer pressure. An allergy to feeling wanted and safe. Wanted is huge. No wonder I wrote it on the board. An allergy to feeling wanted and safe. As soon as, like, if somebody says they want you, you almost don't even trust it. And they're like, what do you want? Like, very similar. What do you want from me? You don't actually want me. What do you want from me? And you can say, no, really. I love you and I want you to help with this. And not because I'm taking from you, because I find joy by being around you or joy with doing this with you. It's like you don't even trust it. And you're like, what's your angle? And then that also kind of plays into the allergy of feeling safe, because if I allow myself to feel safe, I won't see it coming. And then you have your legs like that. Yeah. Does that make sense? Just want to clear those. Yes? see. We're gonna do 2 drum circles.
Can we go back and do me real quick?
I knew it! I knew it. As soon as we got to the next line, I know there's somebody's gonna be like, wait! Since you're doing everybody.
Let's do me.
Okay.
I wanna do it too.
I know. Okay. I know we should have just started with this and then we'd stay on time. Okay. So, Doug, you got a lot of stomach stuff, don't you? Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. I mean, sorry if that offended you. I love you. So that it's anxiety is what it is. So it's a faulty core desire to feel anxiety. So what I was saying about anxious about not feeling anxious, that's you. What did I forget? What did I not do? What am I missing? What I'm going to be blindsided, and you're going through all of the things, and then all that anxiety builds, and it goes right here. So as soon as your stomach starts to hurt, go, wait, not my new normal. What am I stressing about? Is it something relevant for this moment right now? No? Okay, get out. And even if you do like a belly dust off, that's a really powerful thing. I know it's like hokey, but it's like, it works because your body's understanding better. Because your body doesn't always understand thought, but it understands. Get out! Right? I know, I slapped my belly a lot. Okay. So that's your faulty core desire. Does he have an allergy? Yes. To feeling wanted. So everybody's gonna want pieces from me. They're almost showing you like an image where it looks like everybody's just pulling a piece. Like, you know, Mr. Stretch with, or like your silly putty, and everybody's like, in a ton of directions. So if nobody wants me, nobody's gonna pull from me. Yes. Oh wait, I'm all alone and nobody wants me. So we're gonna clear that. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. But you said you were good.
I thought it was. Go for it.
I don't want to create doubt. I want to create empowerment.
Do you want me to tell you what?
Yes.
Okay. It's weird because for some reason I had to open my eyes, and right when I did, you said trust, and then it hit me. And then the second was like a faulty abandonment. Weird. That was kind of weird, but that's what kind of hit me too.
Yeah,
So,
that independent.
yes.
And kind of like the Superman. Look, I don't need you. I'm Superman. I can do anything. Ha ha ha. Actually, I would like some support sometimes. Doesn't mean I'm not Superman. I mean, how many times did he get saved from somebody else? You know, I'm just saying. He had a sidekick. Well, side chick. But
Where's my Robin?
I know. That's what you need.
She brought you here.
She did. She's the Batman. I'm the Robin. That's what it is.
Which is also good and powerful. Okay. Yes, that feels good.
Yeah, that's it. Anything else?
That's good. Whatever it is with your low back, insecurity. Do you have low back? Junk? I'm feeling it in the low back, which could also be support, because that's usually where we feel lack of support.
Not tonight, but
Okay. But yeah. So if your low back starts to hurt, ask yourself, where are you feeling insecure? Where are you feeling more down on yourself? Because it's your body saying, hey, look here, dummy. So, with love. Does that make sense? Okay. Do you want to tell me what you got, or you want me to tell you what I get?
So, allergy, like I repelled. And then I had tears for.
Tears are good.
And then the core value, I don't know.
Okay. So a faulty core desire is abandonment. Yeah. And usually when that happens, you go straight to guilt. And then you fix yourself because you feel guilty. And then by fixing yourself, then you're not going to be abandoned again. That's why I mentioned the Mrs. Ito. Now I know. I was like, that was perfect. I'm like, why am I mentioning that? That's why it was for you.
Yeah.
Because the more guilt you feel, the more perfect you make, the more abandoned you get. Because you're not even being you. You're being a version of you that you think everybody else in the world wants. It's okay to be the crazy woo-woo person. Or the weird whatever person. Does that make sense? Because you'll actually find that people will abandon you less when you're you. Even if it's messy and wrong. So, yeah, we'll release that. Okay, so let's split down the middle. I'm going to give it you number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so we'll split right here. You guys are group 1. you're going to come, and I'll explain how we do the drum circle, and then we'll do it, and we'll just update you on this stuff. So you're going to stand in a circle. You can face out, or you can face in. Facing out is a little more intimate with the people drumming you, so it's up to you. The only rule is you cannot touch each other. Because if I touch you and I'm clearing crap out of me, I pull your crap into me and then have to release both of us. Okay? And you do not need your drum if you're standing in the middle. However, you can hold it over your heart and you get double drummed. Because it will activate the drum. It'll still vibrate. Okay? So if you're going to have a drum, hold it over your heart. Otherwise, you can just set it down. Okay. So you're all going to get closer. Closer, but not touching. Because we need to get behind you. Okay, so then, all the rest of us are going to grab a drum. We're going to go behind them. And we always start at the earth. We're going to hold it so that the lacing is facing them. So the beat goes from the outside into them. Okay? And you're going to go up and down. So it's easy if you turn, so you're facing this way. So are you left-handed?
Do we need to get in the circle?
Yeah, I am.
That's probably right. It's okay.
What's happening?
It's
You're on
okay.
the
Yes,
inside
come get in the
circle.
circle.
Oh, there's like.
You're an innie, not an
You're
an innie.
I'm in it.
Inside the
Yeah.
circle.
Why am I in it?
Okay, you're going to stand inside the circle. You're releasing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so everybody else can form a circle around. We just need to be very careful that we don't trip or land on something.
Drips.
Right? Thank you.
Oh my God.
We're supposed to be on that, so more on the inside.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, so you're going to hold it so that the lacing is facing the people in the middle. People in the middle, hold what you're releasing or receiving. Who's receiving? You're receiving, so you just receive. Receive, receive, receive.
Am I supposed to drum?
No, you're not drumming. We're drumming you.
Oh.
So it's like you came to the people of the village and we're not drumming you. I was going to say women. Okay. So you guys will stand there and you're going to, in your mind, you can. It helps if you probably close your eyes because you can get really into your body. And you're going to say in your mind, I release, or you can say it out loud if you want. I release this allergy to feeling wanted. I release this faulty core desire to whatever. Or anything else that came up. I release, 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 release. And then when you feel like you can catch your breath again, then you say, I love when I get to feel wanted. I love feeling wanted. And as we drum you, you're going to pour in the I love feeling wanted, or whatever your emotion was. Does that make sense? Those of us on the outside, you'll get your turn to release in a minute. Right now, you're just focusing on release, release, release. And all you think is release as you drum. Because this is your chance to give, and then you'll get your chance to receive as well. Does that make sense? We're going to make it a little bit even more difficult. We're going to walk in a circle as we drum, like really crazy drum people, okay? It's more fun that way, and we can get more energy to move. So, is everybody okay with moving, walking? Okay. Sometimes people have a hard time with it, so I want to
adjust the circle.
Yeah, just make sure you're not touching the person next to you. But the closer you can get, the better. Okay, so we always start at the ground. We're pulling up that earth energy, and then we're going to go up and down through their body. And don't forget to walk in the circle, or we go, wait, are we walking or are we not walking? I don't know, this person's here and they're not moving. And then we forget that we're helping release, okay? And then when you hear the chimes, stop. Okay, ready? Okay, so in the middle, you're going to think of what you're releasing, and then when you feel that bubble kind of rise up and burst and you catch your breath, then you'll allow yourself to receive. Okay? And then those of us drumming, you're going to hold the lacing towards them. So if you turn sideways, so there you go. Yep. Clear as mud. Okay? So anytime we have a drum circle, we want to anchor in the things that were released, the things that were received, and the connections that happen while we're here. And so the way we do that is all at the same time. We're going to take our right foot and we're going to stomp it. And when we do, we're going to shout, "Ah-ho," which is kind of like an amen, which means it is what it is and it is good. And we allow that vibration to spread over the whole earth. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Ah!